Bitcoin is the buyer of last resort of all energy on the planet. What's up, YouTube? It's Rhett. I actually wasn't gonna film this week. I filmed a bunch of videos a couple weeks ago and I was just gonna upload one of those. But then the richest man on the entire planet, Elon Musk, decided to do a bunch of on Twitter and spread a bunch of lies and energy FUD about Bitcoin. The lies crashed the price and I bought the dip. That was cool, got some cheap coins. But I'm still really mad with Mr. Musk. I was so upset I even looked into buying a Ford F-150. It was really dark times. So here I am today with the Bitcoin trucker hat. In this video, we're gonna be talking about how much energy Bitcoin uses, the environmental cost of Bitcoin, and then the aftermath of this Elon tweet. Hopefully this video can spark a conversation, can be a really good resource for people who are trying to learn more about Bitcoin's energy consumption. So feel free to share this with anyone who in your life is asking you any of these Bitcoin energy related questions, or who's just trying to learn more generally. And then definitely check out the description. There's gonna be a lot of sources down there and some podcasts where you can learn way more than I'm gonna be able to cover in this video. So go down below, smash the like button, and let's get started. So first, let's go over how much energy does Bitcoin actually use. Bitcoin currently consumes around 110 terawatt hours of energy per year, which is about 0.55% of the global energy production. And it's more energy than small countries like Malaysia or Sweden even use, period. So this is a lot of energy, 110 terawatt hours, ton of energy. But it brings up a couple important questions. The first question is how much energy does any industry deserve to use, and who gets to make that decision? Who decides that? For example, Christmas lights in the United States use about 6 terawatt hours of energy in America alone every year, which is fine. Christmas lights are pretty and they're part of celebration, but they don't allow you to transfer value peer-to-peer anywhere in the world at the speed of light. So instead of comparing Bitcoin to Christmas lights, let's compare it to traditional fiat banking and gold. How much energy does the fiat banking system and gold use every year? Yikes. So huge win for Bitcoin here. It uses much less energy than the traditional banking system and gold. And so maybe Tesla should actually stop accepting US dollars, the petrodollar, because fiat uses way more energy than Bitcoin does. Okay, so Bitcoin uses way less energy than traditional banking, but it's still a ton of energy every year. So how much would it be okay for Bitcoin to consume? Obviously, if you think Bitcoin is totally worthless, you probably want Bitcoin to consume zero energy because you think that it's not providing value to anyone in the world. But if you're one of the tens of millions of people throughout the world who are using Bitcoin to escape currency debasement and government money printing, you probably think the energy that's being used to secure the Bitcoin network is worth the cost. And this energy use argument, it's a really old argument and it's been used against plenty of other companies, not just against Bitcoin. For example, this is the exact same argument that pessimists in the 1990s levied against Amazon. In a Forbes article written by Peter Huber and Mark Mills written about Amazon.com in the 90s, the writers claimed that it would take 1 pound of coal to create, package, store, and move 2 megabytes of data. Just imagine if we had listened to these people. If you fast forward 20 years, Amazon is one of the biggest companies on earth. It's made the world a much better place, and it will be fully carbon neutral by 2040. These pessimistic viewpoints are ultimately a bet against human innovation, and they're destined to lose in the long run. You can't bet against human ingenuity and engineering and expect to win. People are always going to build great things, and those great things will get better and better and better over time. Maybe Amazon wasn't a great use of energy in the 1990s, but after they've blown up to the scale they're at now, they're in a place where in the next 20 years, they're going to get to zero net carbon emissions. So next, let's take a look at the environmental impact of Bitcoin. And it's important to make this distinction because energy used is not the same as environmental impact. Burning coal, for example, has a way different environmental impact than using renewable sources of energy like hydroelectric or wind or solar. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of great data on how much of the Bitcoin mining network is renewables and how much is traditional energy, but the estimates have ranged anywhere from 39% up to 73% renewables. 39% to 73% is a really big gap, but even if you take that low estimate of 39%, that's still almost twice as much renewable energy percentage-wise as the US energy grid. That's already really great. Even in the worst case, Bitcoin is already leveraging twice as much renewable energy as the US power grid. But the real killer app for Bitcoin from an environmental perspective is that Bitcoin can use energy that typically would have been wasted otherwise. If you look at a graph of wasted energy in the United States, you can see that around 65% of total energy generated is wasted. Part of why this happens is that energy producers need to constantly be matching the energy demand of the grid that they're serving. And so if they end up producing more energy than the grid can handle, that excess energy goes to waste. So if they're producing 150 kilowatt hours of energy and the grid can only take 100 kilowatt hours of energy, that excess 50 kilowatt hours of energy is just going to go to waste. Unless they can repurpose that 50 kilowatt hours of energy and use it to do something else. Often when fuel is wasted in this way by the oil and gas industry, which still makes up a huge percentage of energy in America at least, the excess energy will often be flared off just into the air. And that creates a two-pronged problem. First is obviously flaring gas into the air is really bad for the environment. And then secondly, it's actually really bad for the business as well. Because there are regulations about how much you can just flare into the air, for a good reason, you don't want to ruin the environment, it causes these oil and gas plants to have to shut down production and then ramp production back up to match the demand of the energy grid. It would be a lot better if these oil and gas plants could just continually generate energy and not ever have to turn anything off. And this is where Bitcoin comes into the picture. Bitcoin is the buyer of last resort of all energy on the planet. Before Bitcoin and proof of work, there was limited or no use for that excess energy that was being generated by companies that are feeding the energy grid. Now these energy companies can channel that excess energy into Bitcoin miners and start to mine Bitcoin. This is great for Bitcoin because it creates more competition in mining, it further decentralizes the mining network, and it helps to further secure the Bitcoin network. There are more and more and more miners who are validating transactions. So it's great for Bitcoin, but it's also really great for the energy companies because they no longer have to throttle their energy production to exactly meet the demand of the energy grid. If they go over by a little bit, they'll just reroute that extra energy into Bitcoin miners and they'll have that energy serving some purpose for them. And thirdly, it's great for the environment because it stops things like gas flaring. Instead of now flaring that gas off into the ether and just wasting the energy, they can take that energy, move it into a Bitcoin miner, mine Bitcoin, and now that's another profitable use for them for that energy. This is just the tip of the Bitcoin energy discussion iceberg, and I'm by no means an expert. So if you want to learn more, I've left some podcast links in the description where you can listen to some of the people who are already in this industry, some Bitcoin energy entrepreneurs, talk about what they're already implementing today. And this is a great example of the future is already here, it is already happening, but it's just not widely distributed yet. So back to this Elon tweet. This is my favorite line in the entire tweet, and it's Tesla will not be selling any Bitcoin. I wonder why. Yeah, it's clearly because it's really good for their business, and Elon and the entire team see that Bitcoin is a great thing to hold on their balance sheet, to protect them from inflation, all of the reasons that you already know. This tweet was extra triggering to me, and it was extra weird to see because nothing has fundamentally changed with Bitcoin or with proof of work or with the energy consumption in the months since Tesla added Bitcoin to their balance sheet and started to accept it for cars. And in that time frame, Elon had even acknowledged on Twitter that Bitcoin does incentivize using renewable energy. And to me, this whole debacle seems to be suspiciously timed with an announcement that Tesla is seeking entry into a renewable fuel credit market, which who knows who is behind that and who knows what those people's feelings are about Bitcoin. But those announcements came out on the same day. They're entering this renewable fuel credit market and they're no longer accepting Bitcoin for cars, but they're not going to be selling any of their Bitcoin. Sort of a weird combination of things to be getting, and it makes me feel at least that they are outwardly saying that they don't want to accept Bitcoin, maybe just to appease these people so that they can get some fuel credits. That is just speculation on my part. It's just how I feel. I have no facts or anything to back that up. Maybe there's something that I'm missing, but that's how it feels to me. In the aftermath of this tweet, Square CFO Amrita Ahuja, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, posted that Square's Bitcoin strategy was not going to be changing at all, and that they're actually committed to a Bitcoin clean energy initiative, which is really great because the right attitude to have if something is not working right now is how can we make incremental improvement and make it better, not how can we throw the baby out with the bathwater and stop using it altogether. Jack Dorsey, CEO of Square and Twitter, posted just a day later, Bitcoin changes everything for the better and we will forever work to make Bitcoin better. Same exact attitude here. If something is not working the way that you want it, don't give up on it completely. Just make incremental progress and make it better and better and better. I'm gonna leave you guys today with a quote from Elon Musk that I think sums up my whole attitude to this Bitcoin climate discussion. Quote, I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. Optimism is ultimately a bet on human ingenuity, progress, engineering, and just the creative output of all of society. And I think at the end of the day, monetary sovereignty and a clean energy future at their core are such optimistic ideas and something that we should strive for as a society. And just because we don't have it now doesn't mean that we should throw these things out. We should instead be trying to make them better and better and better. And I think that's something that people really love about Elon. He's taking on such optimistic projects. Electric cars and spaceships. That's awesome. Those are such optimistic goals. So I'm hoping hoping that he changes his mind on Bitcoin. I'm hoping that Tesla reverses their stance. I'm hoping that they can use it to achieve a lot of the clean energy goals that they want to achieve. And I think that ultimately Bitcoin is going to be really, really great for the environment because of the way that it allows us to use energy differently and because of how it incentivizes us to use renewable energy in the first place. Because we want to get that really, really cheap energy so that we can make profits mining Bitcoin. Anyway, I hope that you learned something from this video. I hope that this gave you at least a little bit different of a perspective if you'd never heard any of these arguments before and if you had just seen some of the energy FUD that's been going around Twitter in the last couple of days. Go down below and like the video if you did learn something, and feel free to share it with any of your friends who have questions about Bitcoin and climate change and is Bitcoin good for the environment or is Bitcoin bad for the environment. I think there are a lot of great resources as well down in the description that if this video didn't do anything for you to move the needle, if you check out some of those resources down below, articles and podcasts, that hopefully not change your mind, at least give you a different perspective. If you want to learn more about Bitcoin, I have a whole playlist of Bitcoin videos that I'll link up here in the cards. If there's a video that you want me to make that you don't see on the channel, go ahead down in the comments, let me know what that video is, and I'll do my best to get that out for you in the next couple weeks or months. Subscribe for more tech, money, and success videos every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern. I love you all. Goodbye.